It was a difficult season in many ways for the Toronto Raptors this year, but it was also a difficult year for rookie head coach Darko Rajakovic. So I asked fans if they think that Darko is the right man to lead this team through a rebuild, and here's what they had to say. Let's get into it. Welcome back, everybody, to Amateur Sports 2, the second channel in the Amateur Production Network, where we give you additional Toronto Raptors content and videos just like this. Make sure you drop a like if you enjoy this one along the way, and subscribe to the channel for more Raptors coverage all throughout the offseason. But for today's video, it's a theme that I often bring to this channel here. I asked a question in a poll on my main channel, Amateur Sports, with no number, that has over now 17,000 subscribers. A good sample size of Raptors fans where we can see the reaction and just their overall opinions on different things in the Raptors universe. I like to react to them in videos just like this, and today we're going to be reacting to one of the polls that I brought up about Darko Rajakovic, and I asked fans what their feelings are on his ability to lead the Raptors heading into the 24-25 season, because, you know, I've pretty much had the same opinion since early on in the season. I wasn't really impressed with Darko Rajakovic as a head coach out the gate. Gave him some time. He's a rookie head coach, of course. Gave him some time, but really didn't see many monumental improvements when the Raptors were trying to be a serious team. As the season kind of wore on for Darko, I think things got better on the offensive end, but ultimately, when the Raptors were actually trying to win games, it really felt as though his abilities as a head coach were limited in many respects. On the offensive end, it felt like he wasn't using his players to the best of their ability. He pretty much had a system for coaching and didn't really want to deviate away from his system of coaching no matter who was available. So it never felt like the Raptors were getting the most out of their players on the offensive end. That has improved. I'll give him that as the season wore on. But on the defensive end, the Raptors were a disaster for the entire season. Just a complete, utter disaster. They had good defensive players for much of the season. They were a bad defensive team throughout the season, and things never improved there. Oftentimes they're referred to, it's not just a points allowed, it's not just defensive rating, but it's even when there's like maybe not the best defensive players in the court, and that was often the case during the tank for the Raptors, it looked like his coaching staff had no idea what they were doing there. Like some of the schemes I saw, like two games in particular I like to highlight, one against the Suns. Like they were doubling off Grayson Allen, leaving him open. He's the best three-point shooter in the National Basketball Association. You're leaving him open for three. Torched us. Lost that game. Second one I bring up, Deuce McBride on the New York Knicks. Raptors were doubling Jalen Brunson, as you probably should, but they're doubling off Deuce McBride, who's one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA. He torched us in the first quarter, and the Knicks went on to win by, I think it was 44. Which was and is now the largest home loss in Raptors franchise history. A catalyst of what started that run for the Knicks was leaving their very good three-point shooter open. Those are just two examples there, but what I'm trying to say is it really felt like simple things were not being executed from a coaching standpoint. That was annoying to me. So as much as some things were good, there was a lot that I really didn't like. So I wanted to see the sentiment from Raptors fans about Darko and how they feel about him for the next season, because overall I feel a little bit pessimistic. Fans were telling me when I would voice my displeasure with the coaching this season, like that the roster wasn't good. What's he supposed to do with the roster? Well, I understand the deficiencies of the roster. I was still expecting a little more. And then fans were telling me to wait till he has a good roster where you can really judge his abilities. Well, I think I've seen quite enough from the first season. I'd probably prefer a better coach to be involved when there is a better roster in place. I'd rather be able to get the most out of that roster based on my opinions. But, as a rookie coach, I guess I'm comfortable with the fact that he's going to get, at the very least, very minimum, another full season with the Raptors. I think likely the lowest amount of games that he could coach the Raptors would be another year and a half with the team before any sort of decision is made. And I've grown comfortable to that fact. But again, wanted to see what Raptors fans had to say about this. Granted, from the whole season of covering this and voicing my opinion, I know I am in the minority, but just how much in the minority am I with my takes? And it appears as though I am very much in the minority here. Of the fans that voted here, just over 1,000 people voted. Pretty good sample size at this point to say this is generally what the Raptors fans in the amateur sports community think. Over 50% of Raptors fans are at the very least optimistic about Darko's ability to lead the team next season. 41% are optimistic, 12% are very optimistic, 32% are neutral. I thought neutral would be a little bit more populated, honestly. I felt like a lot of people would have been like, I didn't really like what I saw this season, but I'll give him the pass because the roster was bad and we had so many issues this season, which is also fair. I'm a little bit surprised just how much in the minority I would be. Only 15% of the voters are either pessimistic or very pessimistic. Only 10% are pessimistic. I would fall into that 10% of people voting here. So it's fine. I understand that. You have to understand when you make over 1,000 videos about the Raptors like I have, naturally there's going to be opinions that not the majority of people agree with. That's the beauty of the content. It's the beauty of what I do here. It's not always going to be something that you agree with, but hopefully you can see my sort of point of view on certain situations. And of course, for this situation, I see the point of view here. The offense was getting better. The ball movement was getting better. You saw with the assist numbers, the ball movement overall was getting better for the team. That absolutely was the case. As the season went forward, the half-court offense was improving because it was a complete disaster to start the season for this team. But I just feel like, Raptors have brought this guy in as a development guy. I just didn't really see enough development this season. You talk about Scottie Barnes' development this season. It's tough to say whether or not Scottie Barnes would have developed to the degree this season just on his own, the work he put in the offseason. How much of that is attributed to Darko? I would wager not much. Grady Dick's development this season just felt like he needed to get himself settled in the NBA. How much of that is attributed to Darko? I'm not so much convinced again. RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley as players coming into the Raptors. Like, they kind of hit the ground running, like without really practicing. They hit the ground running, and that's the sort of level they continued for the rest of the season here. Just felt like the new roles suited them. And, we'll give Darko credit, bringing them in a specific role that suits them, more so RJ Barrett. Like, the Raptors are getting way more out of RJ Barrett than the New York Knicks did. So, putting them in the right roles, absolutely on coaching, we'll give credit for that. But as far as like development on talent, again, I'm not as convinced in that front. With the young players in the team, nobody's really risen up to a role that you would not have expected for them. When you look at like, the 10-day players coming in, you would have just liked to have seen maybe a couple of interesting stories coming out of there, but I can't fault Darko too much in that perspective. So what I'm trying to say is, didn't really see much on the development front. That's more of a long-term thing anyway, so, we can give more of a pass on that. On the offensive end, it feels like when the roster isn't that good, it works because everybody shares the ball equally. But when the Raptors are healthy and trying to be good, they shouldn't be sharing the ball equally. Some guys should get the ball more than others, so we don't have situations at the start of the year where Dennis Schroeder is getting the same fourth quarter usage as Scottie Barnes and Pascal Siakam. Like, that's just ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous. And also, on that front, it just never felt like Pascal Siakam was used effectively anyway whatsoever, despite him being the best player on the team at the time. It felt like Scottie Barnes should have been used more as well. It felt like Schroeder should have been used less, but this wasn't recognized for, like almost the entire first half of the season for the Raptors. These sorts of things that were obvious weren't recognized, which was, again, annoying. Another annoying part of his coaching style to me is doesn't like to adjust his rotations. So when a player is playing really well, it's his rotation to come out at this time in the game, so he comes out at that time of the game. Well, sometimes you need to ride momentum. Sometimes you need to ride the hot hand. And a lot of the times, those adjustments weren't really made. Speaking of adjustments, adjusting on the fly as the game is going on, adjusting to your opponent from the start of the game. Like the Raptors going down by 10 or more in more than half of the first half of the games of the season. Now, second half of the season, the Raptors were crap, so I understand that. When the Raptors are trying to be good, the amount of games, they just basically start down by 10 points almost every game. That's on coaching, not preparing their team for the game. Like, there's a lot of things that just really frustrated me over the course of this season. And it's even more frustrating that when it came to the finalists for the Raptors head coaching job, I was a big fan of Jordi Fernandez and really felt like he would have suited the team better and would have done a better job over the course of this season, even under the circumstances. I think he would have outperformed what the Raptors ended up managing with 25 wins. And it's disappointing that the opportunity to hire Jordi Fernandez as a head coach has passed us by. It honestly was revealed either yesterday or today at the time of recording here that Jordi Fernandez is going to be the next Brooklyn Nets head coach, as reported by Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN, the Woj. So, the opportunity has passed the Raptors by to hire Fernandez, and I hope it is one that they do not regret going forward. Also interesting with Fernandez, as a Canadian basketball fan, was looking forward to having him coach Team Canada at the Olympics, though it's looking like that may not be the case here. The Summer League for the NBA, where Fernandez is likely to be involved with the Brooklyn Nets, runs July 12th to 24th, and apparently the Olympics are going to be July 27th to August 11th. So it's unfortunate that it seems as though the Nets will have to provide some very generous accommodations to allow Jordi Fernandez to miss Summer League and coach Team Canada at the Olympics. Seems unlikely. That's a bit of a disappointing thing as a Canadian basketball fan, because Fernandez did such a great job at the FIBA World Cup with Team Canada, and Team Canada will now once again be scrambling to find a new coach. But back on the topic of Darko Rajakovic, there's just you could really make the case from this video that I'm making a lot of excuses not to like Darko, which don't feel like I am, but I don't hold an agenda against this guy. It just, I want the Raptors to succeed, and I just wasn't really impressed by the season. And talking about excuses, I think you really have to make a lot more excuses when you're talking about the things that did go well and making excuses for things that didn't go well. I think there's a lot more excuses that can be made there. Now, granted, there are a lot of excuses for the Raptors this season, with the tanking, with the injuries, with the trades. All things are considered, in my opinion, here. But even under the circumstances, I felt like there should have been a better job being done by the staff. But what's great about things for me is that I don't hold an agenda against this guy. Once again, my only agenda, the only thing that I want, is the Raptors to succeed. So if we look back on this video in a year's time and go, wow, what an amazing second season by Darko, had guys healthy, had the team he wanted. Look how well they did. Look how stupid Jacob is for making that video and having that opinion on Darko Rajakovic. What's great is I'll be like, great. I'm very happy I was wrong. The Raptors made the right choice at head coach, and they have a great head coach, and they're doing well. So if I'm wrong on this, that's best case scenario. But as always with the content here, I just give my opinion based on what I see and watching pretty much every Raptors game all throughout the season and covering everything I can about this team. So as far as Darko's success for next season, I'm certainly pessimistic. But hey, Raptors fans seem to like him. Hopefully, he does well for the team and takes them on to brighter pastures in future seasons. So, what do you make of Darko Rajakovic? You let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Which section of this poll would you be in? Because that's all from me for today. Thanks so much for watching this video. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel as well. And check out my other channels. This is my main channel with 17,000 subscribers plus. This is my reaction channel. The best stream highlights from this channel here. Here's the button to subscribe to this channel you're currently watching. And here's another video that you might enjoy from that main channel. I'll see you guys again next time for another video here on Amateur Sports number 2.